Hi, this is Brian Aldrich from 4th Street Software, and today I'm going to show you some of the new details on the newest version of 4th Street Baseball as of April 18th, 2020. This is version 1.2.20.0, so it's the first semi-major release that we've done in quite a while. Right away on the opening screen after you open the player files, you can see I've played a few games of the Twins here this year. I've selected April 26th, 2019 as my starting date. And if I look in the schedule details window, I can see that the Twins beat Baltimore on this day by a score of 10-3. This window looks a little bit different than it used to. I've enabled a drag and drop capability for that, so you can rearrange your windows if you need to. Alright, if we go to the stats screen, I've already selected the Twins here, so they're the ones that show up. And as per usual, the stats come up for the season totals, so you can peruse those if you want. Nothing new there, but what I'm going to do next is just go ahead and look for the next box score that's available here. And as you can see, I ran into on April 26th, the Twins played Baltimore and, like I said, beat them 10-3. Now, I can check out other box scores on that day, but I don't think I played any other games there. This is just a Twins schedule I was doing in a replay. So I'm going to select a box score for this team only, so just for the Twins. And if I click on this View Next button, I can see what they did in their next game. So on April 27th, they defeated the O's by a score of 9-0. On April 28th, Baltimore got a little vengeance there. They ended up winning 8-1. Who was the pitcher in that game? Oh, Kyle Gibson, Lucky Texas. Okay, and then mini box score here. You can do the same thing with these. So there's two different options. You can view previous day's scores or the next day's scores for this just simply by clicking that button. Alright, so that's in the stats module. And now what I'm going to do next is go to a new game here. So let's just pick one out of the crowd. St. Louis and Washington. Sounds like a good game. So we'll go ahead and select that. Hit the ready button. And I've done a few things on the next screen, one of which is in the settings window. There's a new property there that says Display Player View Window. This can be turned on and off either from here or from the opening screen options. I'll show you that in a minute if I remember. Or you can do it directly inside the game. And what this does, I've been asked several times. Whoop, that's coding window there. You don't need to see that. What I've been asked several times here over the past few years is a little bit more detail on how the results come to pass, and so this helps do that. It's available in normal mode or in helper mode. If you use autoplay or run schedule, you're not going to notice anything happening. You can either have the human coaches on or the AI coaches. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to leave it as is, so I prefer the normal game most of the time, and we'll just go human versus human. But now I'm going to go ahead, hit OK, and you won't see anything right away on that. So I'll come back to that here in a minute after I explain some of the other changes that have been made on this screen. Okay, as you can see, it's a little bit more wide open. There's a little bit more space to it. It doesn't look quite as crowded. And that's because I've removed the bench area and the bullpen area. That used to be, the bench area was up top, bullpen area was down below, and put them on their own separate tabs. So the reason I did that is now you can see the entire bench and all the players on it. By the way, if you hold your mouse key or mouse button over the top of a player, you can get some more details as to what his stats are. Or just as you could do earlier, you can click on him and take a look at his player card if you choose. Same with the bullpen. So if I want to take a look at Miles McCallus, I can do that. All right. So same thing is true for the home team area. There's a couple of other tabs here. One is for the autoplay controls, so if you need to pause or stop an autoplay or a run schedule that's already started, two buttons will pop up here. They're not on there obviously right now because we aren't playing an autoplay game. And over here, the play-by-play controls. This just shows you the previous play-by-play. And this allows you to set the play-by-play timer control so you can speed it up or slow it down. Okay, now let's start the game. So I'm going to hit begin game here. And we've got Colton Wong, and this is the first game that St. Louis or Washington has played this year. So we'll just go ahead and get it started here. Just going to choose the random pitches, and this is the new change that I've implemented in this newest version. So what we have here is a matchup between Steven Strasburg, he's pitching, and what's come up, by the way, you can move this any way you want. If you don't want to see the entire card at one time, you can choose to raise and lower the shade, if you will. If you want, you can hide it entirely. If you need to bring it back, just go ahead and click this new little button that's up here, and it'll do the same thing. Now let me just follow through this result for you. I'm going to go up to the score board here first of all, and just to show you what's going on. So initially, the count roll, which is not displayed up on top, was taken, and the count ended up being a 2-2 count on Strasburg's card. So we've highlighted that in blue just to make it apparent where that result came from. Then the 5 dice were rolled again. We rolled a 50, and we are facing Colton Wong as a left-handed hitter. And so in the matchup column on the left-hand side, 50 would be a versus pitcher reading. Next, we're going to compare the two grades of the two players involved. So it's a versus pitcher, and if I click on the hitter matchup, I can see Colton Wong's card. So versus right-handed pitchers, because Mr. Strasburg is a right-handed pitcher. His grade was a 16, okay, Wong's. And Strasburg threw a breaking ball, as evidenced by the little red B up here, which means the pitcher lost that matchup. Okay, we have a 9. Okay, so if you move this around, you can see how that dice roll is played out, a little bit more detail. So the batter got a +2 bonus, I guess you could call it, because he guessed correctly. He guessed that a breaking ball was coming, and it was. All right, and so the 20-sided die roll was a 6, which means Wong won the matchup. And now consequently, on his card, under the pitcher column for right-handed pitchers, we rolled an 8 with a 2d6, and 55 was the result. Had that same result been read off from Strasburg, he would have struck out. Okay. And then over here on the fielding side, we also have that. In this case, the ball was hit to the third baseman, and Howie Kendrick is playing third base today. So his card pops up. Now nothing is highlighted on here because the actual result of the play was found on Wong's card. So Kendrick was the lucky recipient of an easy ground ball to third, which resulted in an out. Okay, now if I hit reset, that'll disappear, and we're right back to where we were before. Jed Gurko, or however you say his name, is up. So we'll just go ahead and roll another one here, and as you can see up top, we got a power rating this time. So it was a 1-2 count by Strasburg. Gurko is a right-handed hitter, so we had a low result there, 0-0. So it's a power rating. Now Strasburg after that, he's already thrown the pitch, so we're not going to see a whole lot happening on his card. But on Garko's, we have power, and we rolled a 6. If you look across the 6 underneath power, you can see we got a 47, which is a home run to left field. Fielder, okay, Adam Eaton is out in left field. Obviously, he didn't catch the home run, so there's nothing highlighted on his card. Okay, let reset. We'll do just one more here. Hopefully I can get a good player result. Here we go. Here's a good one. So this time the result was found on the batter's card. Excuse me, the count was found on the batter's card. So if I refer to Carpenter, I can see that he worked out a 2-0 count to lead off here. The ball was then hit to the shortstop. So we have a hitter versus shortstop reading. We got a very low D20. So in this case, the hitter won the matchup. That's why it's green on Matt Carpenter's card. So into the infield column against right-handed pitchers, he gets a 10, which is a single. Now, had Defoe won instead, over here, shortstop, it would have been a 66, which is a hard ground ball to shortstop for the out. So we've got a single, and now we've got Carpenter sitting on first base. Okay, a couple other little things about this before I get off the air here. Okay, here's another play. Now, let's say you've looked at this enough and you just don't really want to see it anymore. You can turn this off, so you can turn off player view. Okay, and then it'll give you a little message. You can turn the player view option back on again by clicking the player view button on the toolbar. So I'm just going to close that. It doesn't do that automatically. And if it actually turns off the option that we saw earlier that I had to put a check mark on, so from here on out it won't show me that window unless I go back into the game options and turn that back on, or as it said, if I click on this, it'll go ahead and show them to me. So maybe you don't want to see every single solitary result there. Well, as long as you go ahead and click that button before you've reset everything, it'll show you what's going on and how a play was come to be. As long as I'm in this, I may as well show you one other option. So let's start a new game up here. We'll just do the same two teams again, so St. Louis and Washington. And a new option that was implemented here just a short while ago was the ability to take and play a game to a certain point in time and then pick it up as a manager. So you can autoplay it up to, say, the 5th inning, and then after that, take it away as a human manager the rest of the way. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, I'm going to click on autoplay because I just want to do one game here. And after this is up, it's going to take whatever you decide to choose as far as a manager is concerned. So if you want to use the AI, you sure can. It'll make most of the decisions for you. On the other hand, if you want to play for one or both teams, go ahead and select human. That's a little unusual because on autoplay, the default is the AI. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. Now, if you just hit begin game, it'll do what it's always done, and that is just play the game to fruition. But up here is a new option called autoplay options, and there's 2 of them available. So I can autoplay the remainder of the game. I haven't started it yet, so that would just keep it the same way it generally is. Or I can autoplay through these different inning options. Okay. I didn't put every inning in there. If there's enough clamor for it, I certainly can. But I'm going to play it through the 7th inning here, first of all. And what it's telling me is when autoplay is finished, which mode do you want the game to revert to? So do you want it to be a normal game or a helper game? As I said earlier, I prefer normal mode, so I'm going to choose that. And now as soon as I hit this, as it says in the play-by-play box, it's going to play the play the game auto style through the 7th inning. So we'll just let it go ahead and do its thing. Looks like St. Louis is they're making a comeback. All right, and now I can pick it up at the top of the 8th inning, and it'll play as a normal game. Okay, and I do have that set on, so this is showing up. And if you want to turn that off, you can certainly do so. Now another option I have is this. Let's start over again. And for the 3rd time, we'll pick the same 2 teams. And this time I'm going to choose normal. And we'll go human against human. And we'll just go ahead and begin the game and play a little bit. Maybe I have a route in hand. Or maybe I get company and I have to quick finish the rest of this game out. Okay, so we're in the bottom of the 1st inning here. And I want to auto-play the rest of the game. By the way, the other option has been disabled. Okay, auto-play the remainder of the game. And it says this will auto-play the rest of the game. You sure you want to do that? Sure. So as soon as we hit yes, it takes off. And it'll do its thing all the way to completion. Compile the results and voila.